Last time you saw the garden, we were finishing the 22-foot raised bed and things are looking a little different. So I'm gonna walk you through the things that we have done in the last 2 weeks in our garden. So, my husband Shem put up these cattle panels, which he's working, they were pretty bent up, and so he's working on securing them with wire in a way that will keep them to the T-post and will hopefully help them hold their shape a little bit better. And we're taking our little tomatoes in their grow bags. We're spacing them out about 1 foot or a little more than 1 foot apart, just based on some reading I've done. I hope I'm right. And I grew 58 tomato plants, which is too many. So I've got 2 tomatoes planted. These are red pear tomatoes from M.I. Gardner. And I'm just using a handy dandy school ruler to help me space these about 1 foot apart. And I'm laying the tomato on its side because what we're actually doing is we're very gently planting the tomato on its side, and the crown will reach toward the sun. You'll actually see this was planted on its side, so the grow bag is actually under here. And what that's gonna do, and I've planted it really high into the stem here, and what that's gonna do is it's going to help the tomato have a really strong root system, because it's gonna root from the grow bag down, and it's also going to establish roots out of its stem as far as you plant it. So all these little hairs here are gonna become roots if you let them. That's why if this were to be allowed to spread along the ground, it would root into the ground. Gonna dig that out. We're taking a scoop of this Trifecta Plus, which is a 5-10-4 natural base all-purpose fertilizer that I got from M.I. Gardner. He uses it and I trust him. I don't know if I'm allowed to be using my bare hands, but that's what I'm doing. I'm just taking a small handful. It says about 1/4 cup per plant. So
Ooh, stinky.
It is very stinky. I'm then pinching off the bottom leaf at least. I'm gonna leave this because I want it to have some structure to it. So then I'm just gonna lay it like this and cover it with soil. And I'm gonna, you see that? Take soil around the base. Now I'm not saying this is right, I'm just showing you what I'm doing. So we are in learning mode.
So we're putting in this Trifecta
Plus. This is aroma that's grown pretty tall as a seedling. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually just gonna use my thumbnail to pinch off the bottom 2 leaves.
Why do we
or
pinch them off?
stems. Now what we're doing is we're giving the plant the opportunity to send all of its energy into growing a really nice root structure, getting a nice thick stem, and that will help it produce better fruit. So you can see in this grow bag that its roots are growing through. I was worried about that, thinking that the roots wouldn't come through the grow bag, but it seems to be working really good.
So you lay it sideways.
Yep, Stella's my helper. You're gonna lay it sideways. You're gonna really gently bend the plant upward. And actually, judging by how long the stem is, I could actually plant this a little bit deeper, and I've already put my fertilizer in there, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go like this and just gonna plant it nice in there.
Make it nice and happy.
And now if you look at the plant next to it that I just planted, you can see the difference between the two. This one didn't have as thick of a stem, as thick of a stalk, and this one had a much thicker stalk. And so this one just, for some reason, grew a little bit better. And I actually could have planted this even deeper in the ground. I could have planted this one even deeper in the ground than I did. One of the other benefits of planting them like this with the root system, with the roots going pretty deep in and allowing it to grow root system out of its stalk, is it's going to eliminate the risk of like wind shock, or at least lessen the risk, because this guy is going to get blown around much less by the wind than say this guy that has a bit of a longer stem. So if I would have planted this stalk a little deeper, it would have been even more protected from the wind. That's 22 feet worth of tomato plants. Over here we've got, on the far end, Bib butterhead lettuce, and then a row of marigolds. This is Paris Island Cos lettuce, and then a row of kale, and then this is a butter crunch lettuce, and then more marigolds. This is a viroflay spinach, I think, and this is a different kind of spinach right next to it. And then I honestly have no idea what this row here is. I can't remember. And that tag, Sweet Stella helped me and she wrote them upside down, so I can't tell what they are. Another roll of marigolds, and then this is arugula. And arugula is one of my favorites, so I'm super excited about that. Just today we've got some, I can barely see them. Focus. We have some baby carrots popping up that you can barely see. And we have a ton of these pods that came from that birch. And then just a random marigold here. And some onions that I'm not sure how they're going to do. They're not looking very hot. Back here by this blue tag, I planted a couple of nasturtiums, and it does look like they're coming up. And then over here, I planted oregano. This will just be a little zinnia patch, and then we're getting to the fun stuff. So this is jalapeno, and we just transplanted these yesterday. So these are plants that I started from seed. And then we've got some big red peppers here. Those are just big red bell peppers, and more jalapenos over there. And then here we're gonna have butternut squash. We did that cardboard mulch with the straw on top of it and just planted the corn into that. So we cut a hole with this shovel into the cardboard and planted. So we'll see how it goes. I'm hopeful that it works and that it does help kind of keep the weeds at bay, because I'll turn this around and show you. We're dealing with a big case of buttonweed, also known as common mallow, I've recently learned. So let's go to the other side. And we've got a new cattle panel trellis that my husband put up for us. It looks so good. It took like a panel and a portion of a panel, and we got our tomatoes transplanted. Now, I may not have hardened them off long enough. I'm not sure. I also didn't harden them off in super windy conditions, and it has been windy and a half. So some of them are looking a little worse for wear, like this guy. Not looking too hot. But these, I'll just tell you, these first couple are red pear variety, which are a small snacking tomato. And then these next few are homesteads, which are apparently good for like sauces, which is our plan. We love pasta sauce, and so our plan is to make awesome, healthy, delicious homemade pasta sauce from our own plants. So that's why we have so many tomatoes. Then we get into Romas, which are great for sauce and salsa. Got quite a few of those. And then I believe we get into beefsteaks. And then you'll see we've got these wood pallets and this like twig wall that we're trying to build. This is as a windbreak. We took these wood pallets and leaned them up against right here so that they could block the wind against these beefsteaks, because, I mean, look how beat up these guys were getting. Just really bad. So we used the wood pallets as a windbreak, and it was working really well. So this idea was born, to put up a bit of fencing and to take some tree clippings that we had and begin weaving. And it's actually really working very well. I think it's gonna look really cool too. We'll cut all of these ends off so it'll look just like a cool woven wall. We've got some weeds in this container here, but we also have this. And I think that this is a mint. It has a square shape to its stem, and the leaves smell chocolatey. I did give it a little taste. I know that's probably not the best before you identify a plant, but I did taste it, and it has a bitter chocolatey flavor to it. So I do think that's chocolate mint. So I'm gonna get the weeds out of there and just leave the mint because it's kind of cool looking. We can use it for tea and other things. Got some sunflowers as well. So that's the big 22-foot bed that I've been telling you about. We've got our salad greens and a mixture of some flowers thrown in there, some carrots, some onions, and then peppers, and then a butternut squash clear down there, and then just all tomatoes in the back. So then we've got this bed, and in this bed we have 2 Tommy Toe tomatoes that are just like really tasty little cherry tomatoes. We've got cucumbers all along this side here, which you can see some coming up. And then we got more peppers, yay! So we've got more of the big red peppers right here, more serranos. So glad we have more serranos. My husband is a big serrano pepper fan. And then the big reds are over here. And I think we've got a couple jalapenos over here too. We also have along this side, I've planted some nasturtium seeds. Now, last week, or 2 weeks ago, I guess it was, I've got some grass growing in here. So a couple weeks ago when I posted our video about filling our raised beds, my buddy Chris actually had some topsoil from a project they were doing out on their ranch. So I went over there with my brother's pickup and picked up a load of topsoil. He also gave me some compost that we mixed with it from their, I'm assuming steers, I'm not sure, but it was composted manure. And so that filled this bed and that bed, and it finished off the 22-foot bed that we didn't have enough soil for from the nursery or from that really expensive bagged soil that I bought that I'll never buy again. So because that topsoil came from a project on the ranch, I do have quite a bit of weeds coming up or grass coming up. It did have some sod in it. It's fine. It was free. It's really good quality soil. Things are coming up nicely, and I'm really happy that we didn't have to pay for it. And I'm just gonna keep pulling weeds. In this last bed, you'll see my husband and our oldest daughter Stella have been working on building these bean teepees that will make trellises for the pole beans. So that's what we've got planted here is pole beans. Along the outside here, I've got nasturtium planted. A marigold here. We got some strawberry plants, and we just did strawberry, the marigold, strawberry, the marigold, strawberry, the marigold. And then all of this here, and then this whole front little bit here, I've planted with zinnias. But like I said, we're getting a lot of like grass and weeds, but that's okay. So we've done a lot of work out here since the last video I posted, and actually before the next video we'll get even more work done. We're gonna get our pumpkin patch planted. We'll also be learning a better watering schedule and maybe figuring out in the next few weeks. I'm not expecting this to be done by next week, but we'll probably be figuring out a drip irrigation of some kind for the tomatoes especially, and just figuring out how we're gonna water the garden effectively. Currently we just have a sprinkler, like one of those sprinklers, and I know that's probably not the best method for watering everything in the garden. Right now it's okay, but we'll probably need to evaluate that as we continue on. Stay tuned for next week for our next update. I'll be uploading on Wednesdays now, and I think that's just gonna work better for our family, but I'm excited to share that update with you, so we'll see you next week. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I would love to hear from you. If you have tips on how to get rid of any of the weeds that you see around here, or just how to manage things, especially if you've got like natural ways of management, I would appreciate any advice, and any advice on anything. I am learning, I love learning, and No such thing as unsolicited advice with me. So please do comment down below if you've got anything you want to share with me, any ideas, or if you have cool ideas that you're doing in your garden. I'd love links to your videos so we can check those out too. All right, I hope you're having a good day and we'll talk to you later. Bye.